How to get in shape in 5 easy steps coming up right after this. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Yoel Presents YouTube channel. I'm Yoel and very grateful to have you as always. Also grateful to those who subscribed between my recording of my video last time and the current recording of this video. If you haven't yet subscribed, I'd be very grateful if you took a moment to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a future video. As well, your comments and feedback are always appreciated. If you want me to do a video on a particular subject of interest, I would be happy to do so. As that channel is still in its infancy, there's more of a chance that I will see your comment now and do a video as opposed to as the channel continues to grow, and it may be a little bit more challenging for me to respond to each and every message. But I do appreciate all of you for joining and for watching this video, which brings me to the topic of today's video, which is how to get into shape in 5 easy steps. And I base this on my own personal experience. I was very much overweight up until about 6 years ago, I would say. Pretty much at the time of my divorce, I was out of shape, overweight, lethargic, all the stuff that goes with not being in shape. And I made a decision then to get into shape. And I was able to do so pretty quickly and in a very easy way. And I decided that, you know what, if it worked for me and if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And therefore, I want to share that with you, the audience, as well. Perhaps you're somebody who's wanted to get into shape but hasn't been able to do that. Maybe this is part of a New Year's resolution that you're going to get into shape. And what happens is a lot of times we can overcomplicate things. And before you know it, we're back to the same old pattern of not getting into shape, eating the same junk food, and not doing what we need to do in order to get into shape. It also can feel very overwhelming, like it sounds good in principle, but then we start saying to ourselves, do I really want to do this? Do I really have the time? Do I have the patience? You know, am I going to start joining a gym? I'm going to be going to the gym 7 days a week. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be measuring calories. So I'm not going to get into any of that. These are all things that you can advance to with time later on. But the point of this video is to tell you about how I got into shape and how you can do the same thing in a very easy way and in a very short period of time. Of course, everybody's body shape and metabolism is different. I don't make guarantees, but again, if it worked for me, it's something that can work for everybody. And I think it's something that you can implement pretty easily. If nothing more, you'll be better off implementing this to the extent that you can versus not doing anything at all. So you have everything to gain from watching this video and implementing these tips that I'm going to give you, and everything to lose and nothing to lose, really everything to gain and nothing to lose, I should say. Okay. The other thing I should mention is that I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist or an expert in fitness or anything like that. That's the other point. This is for the everyday person, just like I am. Okay. And it's more geared towards men, being a man myself. Of course, any of you ladies out there that are watching this, I'm sure you can implement it in your own way. But forgive me if I am speaking in terms of other guys out there, speaking from a divorced man's experience, but really these are things that can be applied across genders. Okay, but I'm not an expert, and you should consult with a medical professional. I have to give the disclaimer. I'm a recovering lawyer, as I put it. So there will be that disclaimer out there. You should consult with a medical professional, though the tips that I'm giving you aren't anything crazy. So there shouldn't be any reason why this should make you any worse off. But still, I don't claim to be an expert. For example, I'm going to get into diet soda as one example that I'll get into shortly. So I'm not saying diet soda is the healthiest. I've heard people say that it's not a good thing, but I'm talking about focusing on getting into shape. So without further ado, I have here an old school whiteboard. I actually have a smaller whiteboard that I cannot find, so I just scared my cat off, who was kind of reclining on the whiteboard. But I'm going to use this old-fashioned whiteboard because I'm also not the most technologically proficient. I do want to or intend on finding a way to start digitalizing these whiteboards so that it's not as awkward as holding up this giant one. But I am going to use this just to sort of illustrate the points and also make it a little bit more interesting rather than just staring at my pretty face the whole time. You've got something else to look at. Of course, if you're listening to this as you do your chores or your work or however you may be watching and listening to this YouTube channel, that's also cool. I'm just grateful that you came to the video, and I'm happy that I can be sharing this with you because I know it's going to make your life better, which is what the intention of this video is. So without further ado, and I already further ado, but now really without further ado, let's start with the 5 easy steps to getting in shape. And number one is eliminate the obvious bad choices. If you can see the entire whiteboard here. Number one, eliminate the obvious bad choices. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, things like potato chips and sugary soda like Coca-Cola are obviously filled with calories. I understand that they taste good. They can be a comfort food for many of you, but the reality is you're going to have to make that decision to cut out the obvious choices that are bad for you if you want to get into shape. And believe it or not, there are lots of healthy alternatives out there. Again, the point of this video is not to be a nutritional expert, but I can speak from my experience. I stopped. I used to be a big Coca-Cola drinker. Any sort of sugary soda that you can think of, I would drink. I ate a lot of potato chips. I used to eat pretzels while watching movies when I would go to bed. So I'll give you an example of how I substituted it. So instead of drinking sugary Coca-Cola, I started drinking diet soda. All right. A favorite choice of mine is Pepsi Zero, for example. They're not sponsoring this video as of now, but in the future, if you see this, Pepsi people, I'd be happy to feature you as a sponsor on this video. But in any event, I started substituting sugary soda for diet soda, and that's a very quick way to cut out a ton of calories from your diet. Potato chips as well, pretzels. Instead of that, what did I do? I wanted to have something salty when I watch my movies. I don't like to watch movies without eating something. I'm notorious for that. So I'll eat peanuts, okay? Roasted peanuts. Are they the best option necessarily? No. Do they contain high fat? Yes, but they also are relatively low in carbohydrates. Again, I'm not going to bore you with all the scientific data and details of health stuff because I don't want to overwhelm you. I only started getting into that later on. But at the time, I just knew that I had to make an obvious choice to eliminate what was really bad for me. And it starts with that, really eliminating those bad choices. You may be surprised that I'm not starting with exercise first, but you should know it's much more important what you put into your body as opposed to how you work it out. The two go hand in hand, okay? It's a combined effort, but it's extremely important what you eat because you can be working out all day long, but if you're still eating junk, you're not going to see the same level of output. So you definitely want to eliminate the obvious bad choices. Okay, you don't have to become a guru overnight, but just eliminate that stuff to the best that you can. And you'll see the more that you practice with that, the more you have a chance to grow with your nutritional program. You'll see you start getting into it. You start naturally making these better choices as a part of your lifestyle. Okay, but eliminate those bad choices. And by eliminating, that doesn't mean you can't have any joy in your life. You can have diet soda instead of, regular soda. If you don't like soda, you can have, there's Crystal Light, for example, which is like a sugary, an aspartame type of juice. Again, I know a lot of people say it's not good for health. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't be doing this in the long term, okay? But when it comes to getting into shape, if you want to see those results that will encourage you to start getting into shape and making healthier lifestyle decisions, and later on down the road, you want to eliminate diet soda from your diet as well, you can do that too. But I recommend starting slowly by doing these substitutes so that you can still continue to have some joy in your life if you're getting that joy from food, but not from that terrible junk food like pretzels and chips and things of that nature. Okay, so that's number one. Now, number two goes hand in hand with that because while I'm saying that, still you should allow for one cheat day. Okay, I've heard people not liking to use the word cheat day. What do I mean by cheat day? Just before I get into why people don't like that terminology. But cheat day means you can have one day a week you set aside where you can eat the foods that you like. Not everybody subscribes to this theory. I've found though, like I said, I'm speaking from personal experience. It works for me where I knew I have one day that at least I can enjoy some of the foods that I used to enjoy. Although again, you'll see with time, you may not necessarily feel you need to have that cheat day. Or if you do, you may not cheat in the way that you may cheat in the beginning. So in the beginning, knowing you have that cheat day, when the day arrives, maybe you will fill yourself up with chips and Coca-Cola and things of that nature. But I know for myself, for example, even though I had the cheat day, I still wasn't drinking Coca-Cola. I was still drinking the diet soda. Yeah, I would have that bag of chips or that pint of ice cream, but I still was eating a lot less on a consistent basis than I was before. Less bad food, I should say. So even on my cheat day, quote unquote, I was still getting in less calories than I would have had I not been having a cheat day and just been eating junk food all along. People don't like the terminology cheat day because of the negative connotation associated with food. I kind of like it because it kind of feels a little, it's got a certain cachet to it to call it a cheat day, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it an open day if you want, okay? But the point is that you don't have to think that you'll never see, if you love salt and vinegar chips, for example, like I do, you don't have to say to yourself, oh my God, I can't swear that off for the rest of my life. So you're swearing it off for 6 days a week. But for that seventh day a week, you can still enjoy these foods that you still like. Okay, so that's number two, is to have that cheat day. Number three, and here's where I get into the exercise part of the, losing weight and getting to shape. Take a walk around the block. That's how it started for me. Okay, I wasn't doing any exercise for years and years and years. And what I did was I started taking a walk around the block. It was that simple. Okay, it could be 2 minutes. Just take a walk around the block. And what happened for me is that as I started taking walks around the block, I said to myself, you know what? I'm already taking a walk around the block. Why don't I start jogging for a couple of minutes? I know for some of you, maybe if you have knee problems or whatever the case is, you can apply the principles that I'm giving you in any way for you. So you can say to yourself, maybe you get on the exercise bike for a couple of minutes a day. Whatever the case is, for me, it was taking that walk around the block, which led me to start jogging for a couple of minutes. Okay, I was huffing and puffing after a couple of minutes. But slowly but surely, it turned into 10 kilometers that I was running consistently. Now I actually go to spinning classes 3 times a week at the gym. Okay, so you see, I graduated to a gym, but it didn't start with a gym, as I'll get into in my next bullet point here, if you will. But the point is that you start slowly, very simply. The key is simple and easy. I'll walk around the block, and then that will, slowly but surely lead into doing more exercise, taking more time on those walks. You can do a brisk walk, fast-paced walk, then eventually to jogging, and eventually you can even be doing 10K like I was. You may ask, so why did I do a half marathon or a marathon? I'm just not interested. I found that I got into shape by doing 10K. I found I got into shape by doing less, frankly. I got into shape by, jogging for 15, 20 minutes a day. But I did want to do the 10K. There was a 10K marathon where I live, so I did that, and I was quite happy. That's the other thing. Again, you don't have to overcomplicate this. You're not a failure if you don't do a half marathon or a full marathon. A lot of people, maybe you're watching this video and you see your friends and they're all doing marathons. You're like, I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to spend 3 hours running. But maybe 3 hours is a half marathon. I think a full marathon would probably take the average person longer. But in any event, it's not about that. So don't think that you have to run a 10K or a half a marathon or a full marathon in order to get into shape. You can get into shape by gradually increasing those, by starting with a walk around the block and then gradually increasing that to something as simple as jogging for 15, 20 minutes a day. Again, coupled with a better eating regimen. Step four that I have jotted down over here is to do 5-minute home workouts. Now, I just finished talking to you about the cardio part of things, cardio doing like those exercises to get your heart pumping. But coupled with that, I feel that and again, speaking from my experience, it's very important to do weight training as well. You can maybe do calisthenics, so you don't have to necessarily use weights. In fact, when I first started doing the home workouts, now that I think about it, I was doing calisthenics. I wasn't even using any weights. But then I started graduating. I bought, 1 pound dumbbells. Then I moved up to 2 pounds, then 5, and then 10, and then to a point where now I go to the gym every day and use a lot heavier weights. But weightlifting is very important if for nothing more, than just toning muscles and toning your body. It also helps you burn more calories, because when you put more muscle on your body, you also are able to burn more calories that are needed to expend that energy for those muscles in your body. And again, I'm not an expert at all. I'm not a personal trainer. So if I'm not using the right terminology and you're a personal trainer watching this, forgive me. And you can leave a comment in the comment section below. But the point is that muscle weight training for your muscles is extremely important as well. But it starts with simple 5-minute, short workout routines. I found an excellent one. It was actually during COVID when I was doing this back in 2020, I believe. It's called Anabolic. It's a channel called Anabolic Aliens. They have amazing 5-minute at-home workouts. They've got tons over there. And I started with their body weight calisthenic workouts without weights. Then I graduated to weights. By the way, when I started with weights, I started, no joke, with water bottles filled with sand. Okay, I happened to have been living in an area that was near a beach, and I was able to fill up bottles with sand. I wasn't even buying dumbbells because everything was closed due to COVID. So that goes to show you how simple things could be. It doesn't mean you have to live near a beach, but I'm just illustrating that it's all about simplicity. So start simple with these 5-minute at-home workouts. I'm going to remember to link in the description below a link to Anabolic Aliens. I don't get any personal benefit from it. I have no connection with them. I just think the guys over there at Anabolic Aliens have done an amazing job. You'll see I think they've got like millions of subscribers, and they deserve it because they do a great job of giving these free at-home workout. So check out Anabolic Aliens as an example, and you can find a home workout that speaks to you, but the key is to make sure it's short. Don't try and get into these 30-minute videos because it's not going to stick if you're just starting out. Maybe after time, you will stick with it. But for now, stick with the very short, maximum 5 minute at home workouts. What I started doing was I started with one 5 minute workout, then I started doing different body parts. So then it became two, and then it became three, and then four, etc., etc. But again, it's all about building up by starting slowly. And number five on my list of the 5 easy steps to getting into shape is to schedule it in. Okay. Now, this may be difficult for some that are more of the flakier nature. And if you haven't seen my video on stopping being flaky, you can check that out. I'm pointing here, or maybe it's over there, whatever side. I'll try and remember to have one of those cards in my YouTube video. You can check out that video on flakiness. Okay. But it is important that you want to be organized about how you do your workouts. Because if you just say to yourself, oh, I'm going to carve out some time at some point during my day, it's not going to happen. So if you're a morning person like me, you're going to say to yourself, okay, I'm taking 10 minutes in the morning to do this. If you're more of a night owl, then do it at night. For me personally, when night rolls around, although I'm recording this video nighttime, by the way, that's why there's a glare in my glasses over here, also because I'm not an excellent videographer, but I'm recording this video at night, so I'm not using natural light. But generally, I, by nature, much more of a morning person. And I find if I don't work out first thing in the morning, then I'm never going to do it because by nighttime, I'm too tired to get out. A lot of people tell me the exact opposite. If they work out in the morning, they're falling asleep all day and they can't get their work done. So know your own body, know yourself, but definitely it's very important that you carve out this time for your workout and don't just expect that it's just going to happen if you say, oh, I'll get to it whenever. Okay, don't procrastinate. Have it as part of your regimen. If the thought of doing that I was doing it once a day, frankly. Okay, 5 minute workouts once a day. But if that's too overwhelming, if even that is too overwhelming, I understand. Then schedule it in for 4 days a week or 3 days a week. The key is to schedule that in. Okay, making sure that you're not feeling overwhelmed. If you feel any sort of tenseness, welling up inside of you, that you're feeling overwhelmed, that may be a sign that you're overdoing it. But try and start small. Start with short workouts and then gradually increase with time to a point where, like me, you may even find yourself part of a gym that you're visiting every day like I am. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick recap of these 5 easy steps to getting into shape. Number one is to eliminate the obvious bad choices that you can Number one is to eliminate the obvious bad choices. So my examples were ice cream or chips, or sugary soda is a killer. But again, you can substitute that with diet soda, or, instead of pretzels with that movie, you can have peanuts or some other salty treat that isn't as high in calories as something with saturated fat is. If you do feel like you know nothing about calorie intake or saturated fat or whatever, you could simply, everybody knows somebody who's in good shape. You can ask a friend, what's a more, healthier type of snack? I'm not asking for perfection, but tell me instead, I don't like peanuts. So instead of peanuts and instead of pretzels, what can I have that may not be, it may not be great to have too much of it, because too much of anything isn't good generally. But instead of something like peanuts, if you don't like that, which is what I did as a substitute, what can I have that's salty that isn't so terrible in saturated fat? You can ask a friend of yours, okay? But that's the point. You can substitute the obvious bad choices. Get rid of those bad choices from your life, except item number two, allowing for that one cheat day so that you don't despair. You don't think you can never have any treats for the rest of your life. No, you can have that one cheat day. And again, you may graduate to a point where you're not necessarily finding that you need that one cheat day, or maybe you find that you've got a good balanced diet. You don't need a cheat day per se, but when you get served that piece of cake at dessert, you can afford, quote unquote, you can afford to have that because overall you're eating pretty well. Okay, so everybody's body type and everybody responds differently, but the point of saying that cheat day is to know that you don't have to feel that if you stop, you're never going to be able to have another yummy, high saturated, high caloric treat for the rest of your life. I can't believe I just said yummy on camera. Number three is to take a walk around the block. Okay, so the first two were about your calorie intake, which is enormously important. The last three are about the exercise routine. Number three is to take a short walk around the block. Keep it simple, even a couple of minutes walk around the block, and then, push yourself to slowly, increase that from 2 minutes to make it a 5 minute walk. You may find yourself jogging around the block. Eventually, just like I did, and that gets your cardio going. Number four is to do those 5 minute home workouts. Don't worry about joining a gym right away. You can do those workouts from home. It could start with calisthenics and then lead up to weight training. I do recommend weight training. Again, everybody's different. Consult your doctor. I don't claim to be an expert, so if weight training may be an issue for you, that's fine. You can do body weight training and calisthenics, but do those 5 minute home workouts. Check out the Anabolic Aliens YouTube channel that I'm linking you to in the description below to get an example of what these workouts look like. And then you can keep adding to that. Instead of just doing one 5-minute workout, you can add and do 2 home workouts, 3 home workouts, and then get to a gym eventually if you so choose. And finally, make sure to schedule it in. Don't leave it to chance. Don't say I'll get to it eventually or I'll just find time during my day. No, if you're a morning person, schedule it in to do it every morning, or if every morning is overwhelming, then 2 or 3 times a week, and then gradually increase. Again, you're getting the theme here, gradually increase. Or if you're a night owl, then do it at night, but schedule it in for the night, but make sure to schedule it. And if you watch my video on not being flaky, you'll see when I talk about scheduling, I mean literally putting it in your phone as a schedule, setting an alarm, writing it down on a written to-do list. Check out my video on not being flaky to get more of an idea about that so that you don't flake out on your home workouts. So I hope you found that video helpful. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. If you found that you were able to get into shape and you did some other things that I didn't mention over here, I would love to hear from you. And maybe I'll share that in a future video. But if nothing more, other people reading your comment will see that so that they can implement that in their lives. It's not a competition between me and you, the viewer. We're all in this together. So I want everybody to do what works for you. And if my tips, some of them work, maybe not all of them, that's also cool. And if you find great tips from other people that are leaving comments or from other videos, of course, on YouTube, there's obviously a ton of videos on getting in shape. That's a wonderful thing. The fact that you've watched this video or listened while you're working or doing something else is a great awareness. Awareness is half the battle, as I always say. So just being aware that you want to get in shape is a great thing as well. But this year, instead of just making it a resolution, let's act on it and let's implement it to really start getting into shape. You owe it to yourself and you will be much happier for it. I know I was. And once again, those who subscribed from the last video, thank you so much. And if you haven't yet, I would be very grateful. It would encourage me to continue doing videos like this one. So if you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss a future video, and like the video and share it with anybody else who you think may enjoy this. As always, thank you for visiting. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hey, thanks for watching. I know your time is valuable, and that's one of the many reasons I'm grateful that you watched my video. Check out the next video in this series or in my library. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell so that you don't miss a future video. And it will also help me to continue producing videos just like this one. I appreciate it.